Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our fourth conversation on reimagining childcare. Um, we are so excited that you've joined us here today. And this is an interesting, I think, and unique conversation. This is the fourth one we've had because we think this is such a critical time to talk about our childcare system and take advantage of the opportunities out there to improve it. We hosted 2 town hall meetings in May to listen to and meet with center-based providers to talk about their ideas for reimagining childcare. And last week, our Strolling Thunder focused on families and families sharing their view and their ideas for what they need in a childcare system that works for them. But we really wanted to focus on family childcare because it is such an important part of our childcare system. Registered family childcare providers play an integral role in our childcare infrastructure. We know that parents choose family childcare because this type of care offers a home-based environment. It offers families non-traditional and flexible hours, mixed age groups in a smaller group setting, and convenient care located in neighborhoods where families live. We know that these are important choices when a family is looking at care for their children, especially for infants and toddlers. Part of our goals under our Think Babies and Pritzker Children's Initiative work is to ensure that family childcare availability increases because it is such a critical resource for our youngest children. Last year, around this time, we held a summit to talk about family childcare. It turned out to be a virtual summit. And what we could do to strengthen New Jersey's system, because we've seen a steady decline in the number of family childcare homes that are open, which means reduced opportunities for children to be cared for in family childcare. Many ideas were exchanged, but I think the pandemic made all of those issues and ideas even more important. We know that, at least in the beginning, family childcare was not acknowledged in the same way as other childcare, even though most family childcare homes stayed open and continued to work with families. We know that families often chose a family childcare setting at the height of the pandemic because it offered a smaller setting, fewer people, something that they felt was safer for their children. And we anticipate that family childcare will become even more important as we reopen our state, our schools, our work environments. For all those reasons, we wanted to have this conversation about family childcare today. And most of all, we wanted to have it because there's such an opportunity right now in New Jersey and across the country because of the Federal American Rescue Plan funds, which will bring close to $700 million to New Jersey for childcare. This is a chance for us to speak up and say what it is we think that money can do to strengthen our childcare system, and family childcare must be part of that conversation. That's why we're so excited about today. As you'll see in a minute, and I'll introduce the panel in a minute, we have a number of speakers here today. What I find most exciting and interesting about this webinar today is there actually is a great deal of work going on across the state to support, to strengthen family childcare in the way that it should be. It is not being done on the state level with a state level initiative, but it's happening in communities. And the work going on is so exciting that we wanted to present that today, have a conversation about how we can strengthen and expand this, and have this be a two-way conversation to hear from you about your ideas of using the federal funds to strengthen family childcare as a critical part of the childcare system. So before I begin to introduce our speakers today, we have a poll for you. We'd like to know a little bit about you. It's a 2-question poll. And Catherine, if you can bring up the first question, we'd like to know who you are, how you're participating in the webinar today. Are you a family childcare provider? Are you a licensed childcare center administrator or teacher? Are you a parent? Are you a government official or legislator? Are you a funder? Or you don't fall in any of these categories, but you're interested in learning more. Again, if you just check off what identifies you best, And we'll see the results in a minute. Again, family child care provider, center-based parent, government official or legislator, funder, or someone who's not in any of these categories, but interested in the conversation today. Catherine, do we have results yet? Okay, so almost a little more than half of you are other stakeholders. Great, welcome again, happy to have you here with us, and very happy to see the family child care providers who have joined. Would also like to know what area of the state you live in. So the second poll is, I am attending today's webinar from, and Catherine, North Jersey, Central Jersey, South Jersey, or I do not live in New Jersey. Again, please check off the area that identifies where you live the best, North, Central, South, or not in New Jersey at all. Pretty evenly divided between North and Central Jersey, contingent from South Jersey as well. Great, thank you. That helps us know who's participating in the webinar. And again, I appreciate you all being here today. As I mentioned when we started, family child care has declined for over the last 10 years to the point where there are only about 1,400 registered family child care providers here in New Jersey. As part of our webinar last year, as part of our summit, we talked about what opportunities exist to incentivize people to register as family child care providers. Again, many great ideas came out, but there's so much work going on in the state as well that we wanted to share with you today. So in a minute, I'm going to introduce a panel. We are very ambitious this morning in the presentations that you will hear, and I'll introduce those panelists in a minute. But we thought it would be very important to put this in the context of provider voice. We are committed to the inclusion of provider voice to inform the investments in childcare. So I'm very happy today to start this conversation to introduce Shernette Frey Palmer, who's owner of We Care for All Daycare in Passaic County. Shernette has been a registered provider since 2006 and is a member of both SITE and the New Jersey Family Child Care Providers Association. She was featured in NAAYC's Teaching Young Children, April-May 2018 issue as their featured teacher. And Shernette has participated in a number of our webinars, as well as presented testimony before our state legislature as they've held hearings on childcare to make sure that family childcare is represented. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Shernette, who's going to put this in the context of the work that she does on behalf of children. Shernette.
Good morning. Thank you, Cecile. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Shernette Frey Palmer, and I am a registered family child care provider that resides in Paterson, which is Passaic County. The reason I chose this profession is because as a mother of 4 myself, I knew what I was missing in childcare for my own children and vowed that I could and would do better. After my 4th child, I was moved with the assistance of my sister to start our own childcare business. And with the help and support of our local CCR&Rs, 4Cs of Passaic County, we were able to do so. I started my home-based childcare business in 2006. As a dedicated family childcare provider, I pride myself on caring for our children through faith, patience, and love. Our childcare program provides an intimate, patient, and loving environment while allowing children to learn at their own pace. Due to the needs of the families in our community, our program is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we also provided transportation to and from school. We are a Grow New Jersey rated program, a member of SITE, Coalition of Infant Toddler Educators, New Jersey, NJFCC-PA, New Jersey Family Child Care Providers Association, and I am a member of the NAFCC, National Association for Family Child Care. We were also featured in the NACC's national publication, Teaching Young Children, in their April-May 2018 issue for providing quality care. For 15 years, we have been committed to providing the care that families need and children deserve. My program also serves children whose families quality for who also qualified for state child care subsidy program. Currently, all our children in my care are subsidized. The pandemic has been painfully challenging for all childcare program types, but especially for family childcare providers. With this new federal funding, family childcare providers and home-based care must be included and at the table. Family childcare is an integral part of New Jersey's childcare infrastructure. In addition, as the pandemic continues, more families are valuing smaller group size, flexible hours, and the trusting individualized relationships that family childcare providers can uniquely provide, possibly indicating that demand for family childcare will increase. Therefore, we must ensure that the subsidy reimbursement rates, stabilization grants, and requirements for both providers and families are inclusive of home-based care providers. Investment in family childcare is a matter of equity. We know many young children of color and children in families with low income are often in home-based settings, and they and their providers deserve the same access to supports that are available to children in other childcare settings. Caring for our children truly takes a village, and at the center of that village has and will always be family childcare providers. We must continue to invest in our children by investing in family childcare providers. Thank you for hearing.
It is really a pleasure to have you with us again today. We appreciate what a strong advocate you are, not only for the children in your care, but for the family child care profession. I think your voice has been so important in advocacy and really represents why this webinar is so important in order to inform what plans the state is going to make for the federal child care funds. So as I mentioned, this is a very ambitious undertaking this morning. About 2 months ago, some of us participated in a webinar that the Early Years Funders Collaborative did. And we heard from several programs across the state, again, that we're doing some very innovative and exciting work to support and expand family child care in their communities. We've felt strongly that everybody should know about this. This information that people should share, and it's also information that should inform the state's plans. That's why I'm so excited about the panel we have here today. It is complicated, however, because we have 6 programs represented, some of whom have more than one speaker. And rather than spend time between each presentation introducing people, which would take up a great deal of time, I'm going to introduce the programs now. But as people speak and present their program, we will put information in the chat that shares their name, their contact information, the website of the program, so that you can access that for information in the future. We are also recording this and we'll make it available to everyone who participates today. And as Catherine said at the beginning of the webinar, we encourage your participation. We want this to be a conversation. There are going to be some exciting ideas presented. We want to hear from you. Do they sound good to you? Are they things that you could do in your community? What would it take? Again, we want to think about and hear from you about how we can reimagine childcare, especially family childcare, our topic today. So let me just introduce the programs that we'll be presenting in the order in which they are presenting. The first will be All Our Kin with Jessica Sager. Second would be Early Head Start Family Child Care Partnerships. We have 2 presenters, Daniqua Matthias from Clinton Hill Community and Early Childhood Center, and Jennifer Santana from Early Head Start and in the Center for Family Resources. Third, we have United in Care, Michelle Roars from United Way of Northern New Jersey. Fourth is Parent Child Plus, United Way of Central Jersey. Fifth is Close to Home, also United Way of Central Jersey. And the last is Wonder School, Catherine Close, who's the head of partnerships for Wonder School. Again, you will have an opportunity to know exactly who the presenters are because we will be putting their information in the chat. And please use the chat, or even better, use the Q&A for any questions, comments that you have. And without further ado, let's start with All Our Kin. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I am so very happy to be here with all of you. My name is Jessica Sager, and I'm with an organization called All Our Kin. We have worked with family childcare educators for about 20 years. And let me say that Seal and Jeanette, everything that you said this morning resonated so much with us. We began in Connecticut and New York City, but it has been our great joy to partner with this incredibly energetic, powerful group of advocates, family childcare educators, and leaders in New Jersey over these past months and years. And I'm so excited to be here with you today. Next slide, please. So I'm going to start by providing a really quick grounding in the family childcare landscape. And you heard some of this from Seal and Jeanette already, but I think it's important to name. Even before the pandemic, we had a childcare system that did not work for parents, did not work for children, and did not work for caregivers. And what we saw was family childcare educators time and again stepping up to fill the gaps in the system with their labor, dedication, and love. But family childcare was already so underfunded. Family childcare programs across the country were closing. And we worked with a group of funders in New Jersey to do a landscape scan to show how vulnerable educators in this state in particular were. And then the pandemic hit. And as we know, that has been incredibly difficult for educators who have heroically worked to stay open, to make sure that families and children have what they need, but have done so at great personal cost. And we have a system that is truly at this moment stretched to the breaking point. And so I am so excited for us to think with you about how to make a different landscape going forward. So that gets to my last point. What could be? I encourage all of us, as we think about building back the childcare system, to think not only about what it will take to keep family childcare open at present levels, but really seize the new federal dollars, the incredible funding commitment and energy that exists here in New Jersey, and build a robust system of childcare, which is very much, as Jeanette noted, an equity issue where educators' labor is valued and where children and families have equitable access to wonderful family childcare. Next slide, please. So I'm going to speak really, really briefly about All Our Kin. We are a staffed family childcare network, but more than that, we are a professional learning community for educators. Across Connecticut and New York, we bring together groups of family childcare educators. We center provider voice and provide opportunities for advocacy and leadership. We bring the best of what we know about how children learn into family childcare programs through coaching, and bring family childcare educators together for group learning experiences with us. And again, we're bringing the best of what we know about children learn, but also how adults learn. So we have trainings that are interactive, engaging, and embrace multiple learning styles. We also train family childcare educators as business people because it's essential that educators are able to earn a decent living, keep as much as possible of what they earn, and have visibility into their finances. And finally, we work to connect educators both to each other and to all the potential supports that exist in communities. And I know this will resonate with all of you because I have seen in New Jersey how much of this work you are doing already. And please forgive me going fast. I don't have much time, but I am happy to follow up offline about our model with anyone who's interested. Next slide, please. So when COVID-19 hit, we at All Our Kin really focused on 3 key issues. Physical health and safety, so PPE, good public health information, supports for parents, children, and educators in staying safe. Economic sustainability, which I know you have done a big piece of work in, both with All Our Kin and with others like Gary Romano at Civitas, making sure that programs have funding and can access sources of relief that exist in communities, and helping connect parents to sources of basic needs as well. And finally, and very importantly, supporting the social and emotional well-being of educators, children, and families. We have seen educators stepping up in so many ways. One story I tell a lot is how many family childcare educators I've seen sewing masks for baby dolls to help normalize these tough conditions for children. If we had time, I could tell you 5 hours of stories of ways in which educators have gone above and beyond for children and families. I know you hold many of these stories yourself. It's important that we hold educators' social and emotional well-being too, so they can continue to do this work. Next slide, please. So at the national level, in partnership with all of you here in New Jersey, we've been doing a ton of work to make sure that family childcare and family childcare voice is not lost. So we've been putting out publications, including one coming out next week. I'm going to preview some of our recommendations about how to use federal dollars for you at the end of this presentation. We've also been doing national webinars with educators across the country, including many in New Jersey, about federal funds and how to access them. We've also been doing webinars where we can really work with national leaders to include family childcare is included. And we've been creating spaces for educators to connect directly with policymakers. As part of that, we have a partnership with the National Early Childhood Quality Assurance Center, where we are convening a national panel of early childhood educators to provide broad guidance to states on key principles for equitably supporting this important work. And by the way, New Jersey's own Beverly Lee is part of that panel, so huge shout out to Beverly. The first battle that we undertook in partnership with you here was just getting dollars flowing to family childcare, but the next is going to be ensuring that those dollars are distributed equitably and efficiently, and that's going to require work from all of us at both the federal and the state level. Okay, let's talk about technical assistance in New Jersey. Next slide, please. So we have begun, we do direct service work with educators across Connecticut and New York, but we are partnering with New Jersey and others on how to do 4 of the things that we have learned how to do over 20 years of this work: supporting strong business practices for providers, supporting child development through strengths-based coaching, developing staffed family childcare networks, and finally, creating the conditions for family childcare to thrive through helping states and localities draft equitable policies and plans to support the inclusion of educators. Next slide, please. Okay, so what has this looked like in New Jersey over these past months? It has been an incredible partnership. So the first thing I want to talk about is our Business Train the Trainer. We have a business curriculum specifically designed for family childcare educators who face really unique needs in terms of both accounting for a home-based business, in terms of being a business person and also an educator, and in terms of managing good business practices while also managing deeply intimate relationships with families. So this really is a very powerful training that has huge impact on provider earnings, on family engagement, and overall program sustainability. So thanks to the Burke Foundation and other members of the Early Childhood Funder Collaborative before them, we were able to bring our family childcare business programming to New Jersey. We held a Train the Trainer in November of 2020. We had 3 trainers. They were all family childcare educators. They were from the NGFCCPA, and these family childcare educators did the Train the Trainer with us and 25 other professionals from across the country. They are now implementing all our KIN's family childcare business curriculum in New Jersey virtually. Some of the topics include marketing, contracts, time-space percentage, taxes, record keeping. They've been meeting with our team, and we are just so excited. The trainers in New Jersey, next slide, please, have launched 2 series at the end of April, one in English led by Cindy and Michelle, and one in Spanish led by Erica, whose picture is on the slide. We recently heard from Erica that she absolutely loves being a trainer, and it has made her rethink her entire career trajectory. She's really excited about ways to grow. We just did another Train the Trainer with representatives from Morris County, and we are so excited to bring this critically important knowledge and information to family childcare educators across the state. Next slide. I got to go really fast. We also have this amazing policy cohort with ACNJ, Child Care Aware of New Jersey, NGP, FCCPA, that is really working intentionally and hard to craft recommendations for the state about how to include family childcare, how to build meaningful coalition where family childcare educator voice is centered, and how to strengthen the capacity of family childcare educators as leaders and advocates. I want to shout out again that Beverly Lee, the Vice President of the Provider Association and a member of our cohort, has launched a new grassroots provider group, FAITH, that will focus heavily on family childcare advocacy and provider leadership development. And I just want to name, I'm almost at time, a few key things. I think thinking about subsidy and ensuring that subsidy dollars get to family childcare is one key issue to address. The other is going to be equitable distribution of federal funds, and I'm going to speak very, very quickly about that. Next slide, please. And actually, next slide after that. Great. So I just want to talk really briefly. I want to leave you with some thoughts about next steps on the federal funding, because again, there are opportunities for federal advocacy on this, but there's a lot of federal money coming, and how states use them is going to be essential. I would ask you to think about these things. How do you build a comprehensive mixed delivery system that centers parent choice? How do you have equitable policies that actually build the supply of care and make it easier for educators to become licensed or registered? Equitable investments in infant toddler care, recognizing that preschool is important, but infant toddler care is equally important, incredibly expensive and in short supply, and really needs to be a priority. Payment that's based on the actual cost of care rather than, again, providers carrying the weight of foregone wages on their backs. Comprehensive, responsive, tailored professional learning that's easy to access on your smartphone and is actually engaging and useful and fun. And finally, diverse family childcare voices at decision-making tables. So next slide, that's my goodbye slide. Thank you all so much.
And our next presenter will be Daniqua Matias from Clinton Hill Community Child Care Center.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniqua Matias. I am the Assistant Director and Early Head Start Director for Clinton Hill Community and Early Childhood Center. We are a center-based early care and education organization in Newark, New Jersey. I'd like to thank the panelists and ACNJ for hosting this very relevant conversation today, and everyone who is contributing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Clinton Hill. We were founded in 1992. We are family managed, so it was founded by my grandmother, Miss Marguerite Bush, and the belief for her was that families should always have access to quality care and education for their young children. She was a single mom of 5. She was going back to school herself, and she knew the struggle that young working mothers were facing, and she wanted to have a space in our community where those families could go and feel safe and secure about their children. We are a blended program, so we are private and publicly funded. And just this spring, we launched our Family Child Care Network, in part through the support of an Early Head Start grant that we secured. So why family child care? We really wanted to leverage our capacity as a center-based program and the Early Head Start grant to help home-based programs enhance their quality, to stabilize the funding for them, and to help them realize economies of scale to provide more families access to high-quality care. Our family child care network model actually originated because we had an informal program with one of our parents who was doing family child care. And we would work in tandem to send her children, infants and toddlers, those families who needed support. And in turn, when those children aged out of her program, they would come to us for our preschool program. So it was a very organic process in the relationship. And we saw the quality of the program and the services that she was delivering. And we wanted to help her and other parents who may be interested in starting a home-based childcare business to be successful. As we have just launched this network, we're really excited about some of the benefits that will come through it. We want to provide support and resources to family childcare providers so that they are able to meet high quality standards, provide coaching, mentoring, and other professional development opportunities for providers on an ongoing basis, provide opportunities for family childcare providers to develop relationships and connect with other providers. Specifically in developing a mentor-mentee relationships where experienced providers have the opportunity to train and mentor new and unregistered providers. And finally, we want to link those FCC providers in our network with the Child Care Center that can provide access to additional services and programs and resources that they may not otherwise have. This was a very interesting concept for us because we've always been inclusive with our informal arrangement with our parent FCC provider. And we thought that it would be a benefit to all FCC providers that we could fold into our network, because we want those providers to realize they're not on an island alone. We want those parents and those families to have the ability to connect with a larger group of parents, to be able to join our support groups, to be able to take field trips with them, to be able to realize those benefits that come with a larger network without having to take on those costs. Oh, I'm sorry. That should say something different. So another benefit of our network, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk now about our current funding structure. As I said, in March 2021, we received an Early Head Start Child Care Partnership grant, and the grant was written specifically with FCC providers in mind. We knew we wanted to launch a staff family child care network. We knew we wanted to be able to reach out to both existing providers and families who were thinking about starting a home-based child care business, but did not know the route to take or have the support that they needed to launch their business. And so when we wrote our grant, we wrote those specifically in there. The grant will fund approximately 5 family child care programs to provide contracted EHS services. And more importantly, the network is looking to raise additional funds to support up to 5 more non-EHS providers. So at full capacity, our network will be supporting 10 family child care programs. Additional investment could definitely support increased access to affordable, high quality care from birth to age 5. And I think all of the panelists and families would agree that this is something that is sorely lacking, especially in our community. We have had parents who have just not been able to access high quality programs, whether center-based or family child care, and have had to result in, for whatever reason, putting them in programs that are less than desirable. Additional investments will also allow families to return to the workforce sooner. So families should not be forced to choose, especially low-income families should not be forced to choose between having childcare for their children and staying at home. Public funding will allow families to access the same resources and supports and services as those in more high affluent areas. Scalability of the home-based childcare market. So we thought this was really important. One thing the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted was how disparate the child care system is for some families. and how important childcare is in order for families to be able to work or to go to school. Center-based programs cannot at any capacity service the demand for childcare. Family childcare programs have already existed to fill that gap, and they have a greater flexibility to scale up to meet the demand of the need today. Finally, we can provide stability and funding and security for providers and families. It is so important that family child care programs be able to rely on a stable income. Programs should not be penalized for changing enrollment, and they should be able to depend on a steady income that reflects their true cost in order to maintain and sustain quality. So finally, I'm going to present some policy recommendations. Implement child care payment rates that reflect the true cost of care for home-based programs. Most child care payment rates are based on market study, but we know that the market study is based on the markets that we serve. So if a family child care program is serving a community where the market rate is lower than the actual cost, then that is all the reimbursement rate will sustain. That is not a formula for sustainability, especially in quality programs. Establish a rating scale for providers who successfully complete Grow New Jersey Kids. Currently, the New Jersey maximum child care payment rates reflect rating incentives for accredited programs, but not for programs who undergo the Grow New Jersey Kids process. That process is very time consuming, and providers who go through it and successfully become rated should be acknowledged for that effort and for that quality in their program. Implement child care payment rates based on enrollment and not attendance. Again, family child care programs experience transitions and vacancies. There should be a opportunity for the state to provide a transition funding of at least 30 days to stabilize funding while providers seek to fill those roles. And contract FCC networks to process subsidy agreements in addition to local CC&R. As FCC networks work to scale up and support more providers, there needs to be a way for them, in addition to the local CC&R, to be able to process subsidy agreements for those families who access providers in the network. Thank you for your time. My contact information is there, and I'm available for any question.
Jennifer Santana from Early Head Start will now begin her presentation.
Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for having me today. My name is Jennifer Santana, and I work for Center for Family Resources. We're an early Head Start program in Passaic County. We service all of the towns in Passaic County except Patterson and Passaic. They have their own Head Start programs. We've been doing family child care here at Center for Family Resources for about 15 years now. When we originally started our FCC program, we had 3 providers. We hire our providers versus Daniqua, who has them as contracted based. So our providers are employees of Center for Family Resources. They don't run their own business. They do it strictly with us. And they are also required to be registered through the state, through our local CC&R, which is 4Cs of Passaic County. Currently, we only have 2 providers. About 2 years ago, we closed one of our homes based on enrollment, those kinds of things, because of where the one home was enrollment. We were lacking enrollment in that area. Okay. I enclosed a video of that is on the National Head Start's website about family childcare, and I'll also put it in the chat for anybody that wants to view it. It's about a 7-minute video that really shows what family childcare looks like with Head Start programs across the country. And I've included some pictures in my slide of our family childcare homes and the kids in the program throughout the years. So some of the responsibilities that we ask our providers who work for us to be able to do early Head Start out of their homes is they need to be able to organize their homes in accordance with the curriculum. We use the HighScope curriculum here in our program. So they have to be willing to be trained and implement the curriculum into their home, because that's all part of the Head Start performance standards, which is the federal guidelines that tells Head Start programs what they have to do. They also have to maintain a clean, workable, safe environment for the children. They need to work in conjunction with parents to develop balanced program activities to meet the developmental needs of the children, all in accordance with the HighScope curriculum. As part of our program, we also give them an assistant that works 15 hours a week. So the providers are responsible for helping us, identify somebody that they want to work with that will work in their home with them 15 hours a week or more if needed. We do have funds for extra hours for the assistants. They serve as primary caregiver for 3 infants and toddlers. Generally, the kids can start anywhere from 3 months to 3 years old. Once the kids age out according to when they're eligible to start Head Start in the fall, they will move into our Head Start programs that are near the family childcare home. They work closely with a family worker. Each family that is enrolled in the family childcare program is assigned a family worker, and that family worker helps enroll the children into the FCC program. It's important for our family childcare providers to foster the belief that parents are their child's best teacher, as well as reinforce concepts with practical suggestions for their child's development. We use Brightwheel, which is an app, and that's how they communicate with parents, children's daily experiences like diaper changing, feeding, napping, as well as, pictures and videos throughout the day that the parents can see. They also are required to use, we are using Teaching Strategies Gold as our observation and record keeping for children's behavior. So they're required to implement that system as well, to provide, to record children's observations so we can, see where children are developing. They also need to prepare a written plan for the week. This year, the teachers, as well as our family childcare providers, are using the Gold lesson plan. So we're working with the family childcare providers to do that as well. I'm their supervisor, so I visit them at least once every 2 weeks, if not every week. I'm on the phone with them, usually daily through text and through phone calls. As the providers come to work for us, we provide everything that they need. So you can see all these materials and stuff here in some of the photos. We provide all the materials, furniture, diapers, wipes, all the stuff that the kids need while they're in the family childcare homes. The funding sources that we get, half of the money comes from the federal Head Start funding and the other comes from the subsidies. So the children that are enrolled, most of them receive subsidies. In some cases, they don't, but we work with them to get subsidies, because we really hold the family childcare for working parents. Again, we provide a salary to the providers and assistants. The provider receives medical, dental benefits, sick pay, personal days, life insurance. They are access to our employee assistance program. They participate in all our professional days, those kinds of things. They work for us 50 weeks a year, so they get 2 weeks off that they usually take in the summer. So this is just a little bit about the curriculum. They use the high school curriculum. And this is kind of a flyer that we give out to families when we're looking to enroll them in our family childcare, just why choose family childcare. And lots of other presenters today talked about the importance of family childcare and the benefit of it. And I can speak to that because when my children were little, I used family childcare as well. And here's my information. You can email me with any questions, and our website is here as well. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Roars, and I'm with United Way of Northern New Jersey. I'm the Senior Director of Strategies for Alice. I'm going to be talking to you today about our project called United in Care. So I really appreciate ACNJ giving us the opportunity to participate in this webinar today. And the stage has been set through many of the other webinars, as well as earlier with Jessica's comments related to how the pandemic is even affecting the childcare industry, and particularly the family care providers. Our United in Care, our United in Care project is actually a 3-year pilot effort that we are embarking on that just started a few months ago, where we are engaging a network of providers, and I'll share the model with you in a moment. Like many of you, our goals are all the same. We want to ensure that children have access to high quality care, increase affordability for parents, and ensure that the childcare workforce is actually being compensated fairly and is able to have their own sustainability. And then, of course, ensuring that our parents and our economy, can have a strengthened opportunity to participate in the workforce. So our model here is that we have a multidisciplinary system. So we have a model that brings together family childcare providers with childcare centers to work together in a shared service network that really relies on the strengths of each of the partners that are participating. So we are also working closely with the resource referral agencies, and essentially within this model, really going to be looking at studying and understanding the levers that really help to promote the sustainability of the industry. So we're operating these networks, as I said, with a cohort of family care providers in collaboration with a center in each of our identified communities, supported by training, shared resources, communications, and a whole host of comprehensive services. And so by way of this, trying to really strengthen the connectivity and the accessibility in particular to families. So by uplifting the family care providers and giving them more supports than they may have traditionally been available. I'm really excited about the project that the Head Start organization is doing in partnership with family care providers. It really speaks to the value of working together in a team and helping to uplift many of the folks in this industry. So we're working this pilot effort in 3 communities across the state. We have teams building and developing in West Warren County, Gloucester, and Hudson County. And I'm really excited that Joan Dillon from the Glassboro Child Care Development Center is on the call today. She's actually serving as one of the hub centers down in South Jersey. So we are in process recruiting more family care providers to be a part of our network. We have a full team that's operational currently in West Warren, and we're actively recruiting for Hudson and Gloucester counties. As I said, this is a multifaceted project where we're looking at building the shared services opportunities, focusing on health and safety, the integration of these 2 sectors, and by way of working together, also helping to really fill the needs of the community when it comes to thinking about where families are accessing, where they're accessing their childcare services. And so should one center or one provider not have the capacity or perhaps even the skill set to be able to serve their particular clients, we can make referrals amongst each other and help to really strengthen our capacity. As I said, this is in fact a pilot effort where over the course of the next 3 years, we're going to be looking at the data and the research and tracking outcomes related to financial stability, everything from how we're budgeting and sharing the resources to how we're sharing resources to how we're also utilizing public dollars that are available. One thing with United Way of Northern New Jersey is that we really focus on helping to support the ALICE population, which ALICE is an acronym that stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. And by way of that, we recognize that there's many families in our community that don't have access to childcare subsidies. And I know that that's a big advocacy effort that we're all probably a part of. But likewise, many childcare providers fall in this asset limited, income constrained category as well. Certainly working to support our communities, but financially struggling to make ends meet. So as we embark upon this project, we're really trying to look at where we can leverage resources, throughout public dollars, private dollars, and figure out the right ways to essentially make this industry more sustainable. And so by way of bringing together this network in a wholehearted way, we do hope to uplift all of the providers in the program. We're excited to have a lot of thought leaders around the table that include folks like ACNJ, All Our Kin, and many others to help us build this initiative. So for any of you family care providers on the call today, if you're interested in potentially joining us in this effort, we would really love to hear from you and see if we might be able to connect you into our pilot effort. I'll end there. So thank you very much for having me a part of today.
I'm going to get started. First of all, thank you so much, ACNJ, for inviting us today. I manage the community impact programs here at United Way. And today we're going to be talking about our Parent Child Plus, Family Child Care program. Our speaker, Angie Acosta, has a very unique perspective on this program because she is herself a graduate of the program and now she coordinates it. Angie is going to talk about her experiences coaching the providers and watching them and the children grow as they go through PC Plus. Okay, Angie.
Thank you, Dale. Can everybody hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So hello, good morning, everybody. Like Dale said, my name is Angie Acosta, and I'm here to share with you about Parent Child Plus family child care. So what is it first, and what we do, and the impact that it has had on our families, our children, and parents in the community. So we have Parent Child Plus is a home visiting program. Can we put the next slide? Thank you. It's a home visiting program in Middlesex County serving low-income families and family child care providers. We currently have two types of model to this program. There's a core model and family child care. Today we're focusing on family child care, but the real major difference in this is just with the core model, we do home visiting with the parents and the child directly, and with the family child care model, we work with the providers in the home-based centers, and we're serving children 0 to 5, and we're providing a combination of 24 high-quality books and toys given to the provider. In addition to that, the provider receives a guide sheet, which is tips on vocabulary building, engaging in conversations, skill development, social emotional development, and really so much more, tips and guides on how to create crafts and games and activities for their specific kids and their ages. In addition to this, we also provide every child that we work with the provider, we provide 12 high quality books that the children get to take home, in addition to the guide sheet as well for the parents. So this really helps involve the parents who are not there when the program is happening. So this really engages them to be able to continue the learning process at home with their child. Now they have the book, they have a guide sheet, they can sit down and read with their child, they can really continue modeling to their child and be that first teacher for them. Next slide, please. Okay, so Parent-Child plus Family Child Care model is designed to really magnify the provider's connection to the children and the families in their care. The early learning specialist who goes into the home is really works directly with the provider. So the provider really is a liaison between the early learning specialist and the parent. So this model makes it convenient for parents to, for providers to access professional learning support that highlights their skills and talents while reinforcing the importance of their role in children's education. So once this is established, providers engage in continuous quality improvement independently. So what does that mean? Well, basically, we go into the home, we work with the provider, we support them, we give them the tools, the materials that they need to really improve the quality care. And this becomes a habit for them, a routine, a daily routine. And during the time that the home visitor, the early learning specialist, is coming in and helping coach and model these positive ways to use the book and toy, they're really benefiting this for future children as well, not just the current children that they're working with, but they can take these tools, they have the materials, and now they can continue to use them and really maximize the learning benefit from each of the book and toy that we provide. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so we all know how important it is to have quality toys for these children, and how it helps cognitive development and the ability to be able to think and understand, problem solve, develop language, imagine and be creative, focus and pay attention, and it really encourages good behavior and, well, so much more. Fine gross motor skills, and, well, so here what you see in these pictures, these are a couple of children that I have worked with in the past, and here you see children with puzzles working with the alphabet, and the second picture you can see a child who is very excited and happy that he just stacked up these nesting blocks. And in the third picture you see a child with a toy fire truck. So every time we really are careful in choosing our books and our toys, because we know it's not just to play with. It's really something that is going to be a part of their learning skills. And so it's so important to be able to use these toys to stimulate the brain and help that child develop all these skills. Next slide, please. Okay, so here, Exploring with Vegetables. So this is one of the high quality books that we use in our program, Growing Vegetables, and I really love this this picture, this slide, because it's so colorful. Here you can see in the center, you see the children gathered around the table with the book and with vegetables. The provider here has taken out vegetables and put on the table for them to be able to really explore their touch, their smell, their texture, and even their taste if they want to. In another pictures you can see they also have planted some vegetable seeds, as you can see in the other photos, and the children are very curious and watching them grow. And then at the bottom corner you can see these two children who are coloring vegetables in the different colors. So this is just a small example of how much we can expand with the book or the toy, and so many different activities and so many different different ways to learn through these books and toys. Next slide, please. Okay, so here what we have is a couple of providers who have participated in our program. Once they finish the program, they receive a certificate, and these are just them sharing their excitement and their thoughts about it. So I'm just going to share that with you. One of our providers said, I read to the kids all the time, but I didn't know I could do so much more with the book. And another provider says, the children are so excited to take home their books, they feel proud to call it their own. So this one provider really, in the beginning of the program, was really not ready. She needed a lot of encouragement, a lot of guidance, and a lot of support. And she was honest in sharing that she had had books in her care, but she never really sat down and read with the children, and the books weren't really accessible to the children. So it wasn't until she started this program that she learned how to really expand the learning to so much more of just reading, but interacting with the children, and really began to start having fun. She also mentioned that the kids were really encouraged and excited to see what was next, and even the parents expressed how proud they were that the children got to participate in this program, that they felt like their children were learning, and they came home with their books and were really excited. And the children would take their books home and say, hey, Mom, Dad, and read to me. So it was even a greater incentive for the parent to sit down and participate, even though they weren't part of being there with the provider and they're working all day, but they had the opportunity, because we provide these books and these guide sheets, to be able to also participate at home and continue that learning with their child. So these providers, in the end, really just didn't want to let go of the program. They wanted to continue, but they know that they had the tools and they were ready to continue on their own. Another provider also said, I'm so thankful for this program, because now I have the tools and support I need to continue to teach the children, not only the ones that I have now, but all the future children that come to my care. So already they're thinking outside the box. Already they're thinking about what's next. And that's really what we want to focus, to be able to model and coach and support them as best as we can while we're with them. And it's amazing how to see them grow and the changes that they've made in their child care center, and how excited everyone is, from the provider, the children, to the parents, and how the parents are so proud to say, hey, my kid is in this program and my kid is learning this. And so it really has made a great impact in our community. Next slide, please. So here, a couple statistics real quick. I love these pictures of these children smiling. They're just so colorful. We have one child here playing with little wooden people. In the middle, you see these three children, just taking turns, turning the pages. And in the corner, we have a little girl coloring a snowflake. So 84% of Parent-Child Plus participants graduate from high school at the same rate as their middle-class peers. And 50% are less likely to need special education services by 3rd grade. So this really speaks volumes to the impact that it is having on our children. Next slide, please. Okay, a little bit more statistics here. Parent-Child Plus graduates enter school performing 10 months above their chronological age. And children who have participated in the program outperform the statewide average on 3rd grade state math achievement tests. So it starts in the beginning. It starts in age 0 to really be able to start the learning and just pour into these children, because they are our future. And this has been such a pleasure to be able to be part of this program, to work with these families and these children, and to see the changes and the improvement. Okay, so next slide. Oh, okay. No, and so that is it for me. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning. This is Marilyn Quintana. The Close to Home initiative is funded by the United Way of Central Jersey and the County of Middlesex. The Close to Home initiative, here is what a provider enrolled in the Close to Home initiative can expect. Program assessment using the Family Child Care Environmental Rating Scale called FICRS, Quality Improvement Plan, Support and Enhancement Technical Assistance one-to-one home visits, quarterly professional development opportunities, resources, initiative, and materials at each on-site visit. Build a strong foundation to move into Grow New Jersey Kids. We meet the providers where they are and support their development, tailoring their technical assistance, professional development, initiative, and resources to their particular needs. An observation of their program is conducted as soon as they are enrolled. The information collected help us determine the program strengths and needs, and an individualized quality improvement plan is developed. The FICRS, or Family Child Care Environmental Rating Scale Revised Program Assessment Use, is a research-based tool that is also used in Grow New Jersey Kids initiative. It is a rating scale that consists of 38 items organized in 7 subscales: space and furnishing, professional routine, listening and talking, activities, interaction, program structure, and parents and providers. The quality improvement plan is updated monthly after each visit with the provider input, involving them in the professional development process of planning and organizing. Arrangement of indoor space. Item 5.2, space provided to allow different kinds of activities. The photos are showing a change in environment for children that was completed after a technical support visit. The provider created separate interest areas such as blocks, dramatic play, and fine motor skills, which raised the FICRS scores from a 1, which was inadequate, to a 4, which is good. Some of the resources we share that we provide with the providers each month are lesson plans, including recycling posters and children's book about COVID-19, transition activities, simple math activities for toddlers, including magnifying glasses with geometric shapes, multicultural posters, posters about diapering procedures, recipe book about Goop, slide, and Play-Doh, posters about hand washing procedures from the CDC in English, Spanish, and Bengali, handouts about physical activities can be done indoor, nutrition and wellness tips for young children, provider handbook for the child and adult care food program, and activity tips from www.broom.org. We have some pictures about before and after. In this photo, you can see the room arrangement. Also, the provider was able to reorganize the space better. In this area, the provider was able to set up a literacy area. The area was reorganized with shelving units. The shelving units enhancement that you can see were provided by Close to Home. It was one of the enhancements that she received. how we reach equity, inclusivity, and cultural competence. At the beginning, usually there's no evidence of racial or cultural diversity in their homes, but as they go with us, they receive some materials to help them in providing a better environment. All newly Middlesex County family childcare providers are eligible for enrolling in Close to Home. Today, we have served Asian, Indian, Filipino, Latinas from Puerto Rico, El Salvador, Dominican Republic, African American, and both English and Spanish speakers. Another of the items that we work strongly with them is health practices. 7.1, children encouraged to manage health practices independently. Hand washing techniques taught, health-related books, pictures, and songs used. Using enhancement materials provided during a monthly technician assistant, the provider set up herself a sanitation station, masking requirements, and parent information about COVID-19 safety for families and children upon arrival at the door of the program. And these materials were provided in English and Spanish, as well as resources from CDC in multiple languages on hand washing were shared in English, Spanish, and Bengali, the home languages of the children enrolled in the program. Supervision of play and learning. This indicator is 7.2. Provider talks to children about ideas related to their activities, ask questions, add information to extend children's understanding. Through conversation and technical support, providers learn how to strategically talk and interact with children in relationship to their play. Okay. Something else that I want to say before I pass to the next slide is that we also reach cultural competency because we respect the beliefs of every provider, and we are sensitive to their practices. Incentives are carefully selected to support the provider in creating an environment where diversity is appreciated. And the next slide will be read by one of our family daycare providers, Ms. Glenis Feliz, a recent graduate from Close to Home. Glenis, please.
So the Close to Home program have been a great support, particularly since I was just starting my own business as a provider. I really benefit from it in such an amazing way. I was able to work closely with Marilyn through the process. The program helped me develop strategy that best fit my home daycare. Marilyn provided me with help in building a better environment for my children, as well as for my family. I was provided with great resources and tools to improve the quality of my program. Very appreciated. Thank you.
This is the second slide for you, ladies, if you can see it.
This improved my learning environment, my curriculum, and how to engage with my parents, as well as how to manage my business. It really gave me the opportunity to become and feel as a high quality program provider. And on top of all that great improvement, I was given incentive, which greatly helped me to get additional supply for my program. I am grateful that I was able to get my sand and water table and some other educational toys. I thank Marilyn once again for helping me through this process. It was a really great program that I participated in. I would definitely recommend this program to all child care providers out there. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, Glenis.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm trying to move on. There is a lot that we can talk forever, but I want to be respectful of the other presenters. So my last slide is recommendations. During the first year, providers are extremely vulnerable to the challenges of being a business owner in the childcare industry. It will be beneficial to be able to provide this opportunity to all newly registered family childcare providers. increase the time programs work with close-to-home coordinator beyond 1 year, and develop a specialized assistant model that provides additional support in business practices, which will increase their success in going through Grow Up New Jersey Kids. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to share our program with you.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. My name is Katie and I'm with the Wonder School team. My role at Wonder School is head of partnerships, which basically means I work with childcare resource and referral, nonprofits, and state leaders across the whole of the US to think about how we can truly, reimagine the childcare landscape throughout the states. So I'm going to start by giving you a little backstory on Wonder School. So our mission is to increase the supply and quality of childcare across the whole of the US. We were founded in 2016 in San Francisco with a main focus on family childcare. So I've been with the Wonder School team since the beginning. And my initial role was actually to go door to door to visit family childcare providers so that we could learn firsthand the different nuances of running a family childcare program, versus a center. And during that time, we invested really heavily in technology and shared services, and built our technology based on what we were learning in real time. So often what we saw was the interactions with children were really strong and they were amazing. But when it came to talking about expenses or making sure they were maximizing their tax deductions, there were some gaps. And so our tool is based on what we saw with our own eyes. And we essentially created a staff family childcare network as a result of this work. Fast forwarding to today, and honestly, the pandemic was a big influence on this happening. We were contacted by a lot of local organizations, so states and networks that were doing very similar work to the work that we were doing, but wanted a technology platform and data insight to make sure they were able to support the sustainability of family childcare programs. So right now, fast forward to today, we went from pre-pandemic being operational in 5 states to now being in 26 states with thousands of engaged providers on the platform. So I always like to show a few photos here. So this is Chris. He's our CEO and co-founder. He's an immigrant from Honduras who grew up in Miami. He actually went to a family childcare program himself and says that that's the real difference. The high quality experiences he had there influenced his future success in his life. And on the left-hand side here, this is actually the provider that he went to as a child. And so our whole platform can be done on your phone. So he's using his phone to show her the tool, and she's one of our current users today. And then this next photo, hold on, let's see. This next photo is Rosa, and she's a provider outside of San Francisco who's actually very near and dear to my heart. When she first called our hotline, she let us know, I have my license, I went through the process, but my first language is Spanish, and I'm having a really hard time communicating and reaching the families in my community to let them know that I'm here, and so I need your support. And so I remember going over to her home and helping her start marketing and advertising in her community. Fast forward to today, she is one of our programs that is always full. There's always a wait list. And when I spoke to her a few weeks back, she let me know, Katie, prior I was cleaning homes in San Francisco, and this opportunity right now has absolutely transformed my life. And she said, I'm in the process of opening up a second location, and I hope to continue to grow. And so she's sort of just one of our success stories. And I really have loved working with providers like Rosa to help them get their program set up and to see the thriving success when they're able to learn best business practices to promote their business. And then Wonder School demographics. So I always like to just point this out here. You can see, 94% of the programs that we support, they're in-home programs. There are a few center-based programs, typically small centers, that really liked that our tools were super user-friendly. And then you can also see here, provider race and ethnicity. 76% of providers using Wonder School today are non-white, 46% being Hispanic or Latino. And then provider age. You can see the majority of providers are through the range of, between 41 and 60. And a lot of our coaching and support is making sure that our technology is able to meet the needs of all providers, depending on where they come from. And so here are just some examples of our live partners. So shout out to Programs for Parents, as well as Child and Family Resources, some of our active partners in New Jersey, where we are giving technology and the data to these local organizations so that they're able to better support family childcare providers. As well as, I just want to point out, we have partners in North Carolina and Oregon and Nebraska and Virginia, Oregon, and North Carolina. They're actually using ARPA funds to give Wonder School technology to providers at scale across the whole state. And as a result, we're able to aggregate this information into a data dashboard. So the state's able to see real-time insight into these programs and able to make more informed decisions as a result. Okay, and so what is the Wonder School tool? So I try to think about it like this triple bottom line. The first part being the platform to support providers. So every provider that joins Wonder School gets a website and can market, advertise, promote their program. They get a back-end platform to manage payments, enrollments, licensing documents, track their interested families, shared services benefits, and then they also get an app where they can share photos, videos, updates with families as well. And I just want to point out here, I'm showing this to you in English, but our platform is available in Spanish as well. And it's one of the few technology platforms that was fully hand translated by our staff on hand and can be viewed in English and Spanish. And then the second part here is not only do we want to support the providers, but also the parents. Make sure parents have access and they're able to make choices when they decide where they want to enroll their child. So every provider, their program will be listed on this marketplace. And some of our recent partners have asked, well, can we, white label this or brand it to be our branding? And yes, that is absolutely possible. So instead of this saying Wonder School, it could say the state of New Jersey, let's say. And when they're searching, they're able to say, okay, I'm looking for something in my budget, my drop off and pickup time, does it accept subsidy? And it filters out the different options for parents so that they have those choices. Okay, and then as parents are using that tool and as providers are using the tool to manage their business, we also aggregate data so that we can see trends and make more informed decisions. This access to this data is fully customized based on what local or state leaders are trying to be able to track and see over time. So some of the things here we can see is financial information, availability data, supply and demand, so that you're able to, when you're going to support the providers, in real time where they need support. So some of our partners, they're able to see, overall utilization rates, where programs need more help, and so they can be more targeted in that way as well. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so then the why. When we're talking about why this is important, I just want to show some examples here as I'm wrapping up. The first one being when providers start using the Wonder School platform, they do this baseline survey. So we gather general information about their program. You can see this is real data based on providers that are using our tool today. You can see on the left side here, 47% are saying they create their invoices themselves. That is super time consuming, especially for a provider that wears so many different hats. So we want to be able to save time there so that they can reinvest their energy into having, high quality interactions with children. Another thing here is no formal invoicing. So they don't have a process. And if you don't have a formal invoicing process, it might be difficult to manage, your income, how much you're making each month, and making sure that your business is profitable. And then on the other side here, we can see monthly expenses. And while the numbers are interesting, the thing that I think is by far the most interesting is where it actually says, I don't know, which means providers don't have a good understanding of their monthly expenses. And therefore, it's hard to know, is my business profitable? Is this sustainable long-term? And then here's just another example. If you're not familiar with the Iron Triangle of ECE finances, I would say, go ahead and look it up. But our our tools are built around the Iron Triangle to make sure that providers are maximizing the collection of their tuition through automation. There are very few vacancy rates, so their program is consistently full with things like marketing tools and advertising. And then they're also, removing as much bad debt as possible. You can see this is actually from one of our existing North Carolina providers, the difference between with Wonderschool and without Wonderschool and their income at the end. So they're even paying for the tool and they're able to see, a significant benefit there. Okay, and then this is my last slide. So then what's the opportunity here? I'll read through these quickly, but national reports estimate that 60% of childcare programs closed at some point since March 2020, while less than 8% of providers using Wonderschool closed during that same time period. This is an opportunity for us to build systems back better. Childcare, specifically family childcare, is the most critical and fragile and needs these supports and technology now. Investing in the sustainability of childcare programs while simultaneously collecting data needed to make more informed decisions that truly meet their needs. And then Recovery Act funds not only can, but they should be used to ensure children have high quality experiences in programs that are also supported to be successful and thriving businesses. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. This is Cynthia Rice. I'm Senior Policy Analyst at Advocates for Children in New Jersey. I'll be closing up, so I hope you just have just a few minutes. And so what do we do with all this information? There are two themes that we heard over and over again. Is that there's an incredible amount of funding for childcare coming from the federal government, and we have an opportunity like none other than before to strengthen our overall system of childcare, which includes family childcare. So we've heard a lot of numbers about money. Right now, there's been a lot of letters going on. Rescue Plan, which we'll just call ARPA, is providing New Jersey in the childcare piece close to $700 million. And what that means is that the total will be close to $1 billion. That provides the opportunity that we've been talking about. But what does all this mean for family childcare, particularly since registered family childcare and family friend and neighbor caregivers whose small businesses are primarily owned by women and women of color faced huge challenges during this pandemic. You've heard all of it from decreased revenue, increased costs in PPE, and the difficulty many had in accessing public funding to remain open. This is a problem because we can't afford to lose one more family childcare home. In the last 5 years, the number of family childcare homes has decreased by 34%. And it's a problem because home-based programs often meet specific needs of families, including offering care during non-traditional hours, as we heard Shernette talk about, mixed age groups, and often sharing the same culture and language of the families and children they care for, and then, of course, focusing on babies, infants, and toddlers. And the good news is that there are two buckets in the American Rescue Plan. One is the Child Care Development Block Grant, which I'm not going to focus on, and the other is the Stabilization Grant. So I want to very briefly talk about process and planning. I think the federal government learned from earlier funding, the CARES Act and CARISA, was that while all child care struggled with increased costs due to COVID, access to funding was more problematic for family child care. For those of you who are actually family child care providers, we know for the most part, you are a one-woman show. And the federal government heard that. And in developing guidance around the stabilization money, it was far more intentional about making sure that family childcare and their issues were addressed more equitably. The guidance from the Office of Child Care, that's the federal office, strongly recommends that states, and that means New Jersey, that states take steps to ensure that family child care programs, small child care centers, and nonprofit groups that provide child care have equitable access to those funds, the stabilization funds. And that includes states opening, there are lots of things they can do. This is the process part. They can, for example, open up the grant process for family childcare programs, like, for example, for the first 2 weeks, or hold a certain amount of money just for family childcare, can limit the first 2 weeks, and states can identify a certain amount of funding. So they're all different things that can be done. The federal government is saying they're discouraging states from taking that first come, first serve. That's what we saw what happened with the PPP grants, was that family childcare folks, that one-man show, didn't have time to complete all the forms as fast as some center-based programs. So the state should also reduce the administrative burden in the application process. That's in the guidance. And plans have to be ways to reduce paperwork and make sure that the process and the direction are clear. So let's just now talk about the policy. The stabilization funds cannot be used to open new programs, but it can be used to strengthen and expand our existing system, and that has to include family childcare. So one big thing is we have to increase the supply. The state can use some of those stabilization dollars to do just that. And that includes family childcare, particularly for infants and toddlers. We need strategies so that the funding can provide opportunities to address the overall supply, but as well as those more specific issues that are so much a part of our family childcare system, such as non-traditional hours, infant toddler desert, meeting the needs of children with disabilities. So just a couple of examples. Certainly a higher subsidy rate. If you're not in Grow and J Kids, you haven't had a rate increase since 2014. The state can provide incentives for bringing unregistered family childcare into registration. And you can bring those that don't enroll subsidy kids into, incentivize them to bring them in. All different things. We also have to make Grow and J Kids more equitable and offer a tiered reimbursement for those registered family childcare programs that participate in our QRIS. This is a clear example of inequity, because our center-based programs, assuming they're part of Grow and J Kids, will receive more money. Their subsidy rate increase the subsidy rate will increase. Family childcare doesn't have that, and that has to change. And there is a bill right now that has already gone out of, that has been introduced in both the Assembly and the Senate, a state bill to address just that. We want to move towards a higher quality, and this policy shift can incentivize family childcare homes to Grow and J Kids if they're getting more money to do that. I just want to mention 2 quick points. Most home-based childcare providers are the only person caring for the children and running their business, and they're often stretched. So how can we use the funding to implement policies that support them better? Certainly support for family childcare networks to assist in both delivering their care and providing them with skills needed for business. The work of our family childcare providers is isolating, and these networks will bring together individual family childcare programs and offer quality improvements. These are good things for the system itself. And last, I want to mention our resource and referral agencies. We need to engage them with the funding to use so that they can be used as a community-based intermediary to meaningfully support family childcare. Other community-based organizations or our resource and referral agencies who already have relationships with these programs are in a good position to administer those stabilization funds. And lastly, we need to use the funding to market childcare, whether it's information about childcare subsidies, potential incentives that promote increased access to care, educational opportunities for our childcare staff. We have to make sure that information is easily accessible and will make any policies that we move forward more successful. I just want to end by saying, for too long, family childcare has been a policy afterthought. The last year has shown us that family childcare is an essential component of the childcare landscape and should be recognized in policy making as such. Finally, we have the opportunity to expand and strengthen this essential component, and we also have the opportunity to do it with equity. Thank you very much for all that participated, and thank you for those who are listening to being part of this continuing conversation in strengthening our overall system which definitely includes family childcare. Thank you.